Hi guys, welcome back to INFJ. Today we are talking about INFJ versus ISFJ. Before we get started, comment, like, and subscribe, and let's do this. So this video was originally going to be titled INFJ Short-Term Memory, but then I realized I started comparing INFJs to ISFJs in terms of short-term memory, and so then it became the INFJ versus ISFJ video. So short-term memory, without fail, is a struggle for INFJs. INFJs are not naturally good at packing up backpacks at the end of class, and INFJs are naturally not good at food services jobs. Service jobs require you to do a myriad of simple tasks that are contingent on basic spatial awareness, and these can be time constrained. So you have to do them well, you have to do them fast, and they're simple, so you may or may not need training on them, so you don't really know. It's a little bit of the chaos of moving objects, which the INFJ, especially the younger INFJ, let's say 16 to 18, when you start working age, that's going to be hard. And when you're 16 to 18, all those now I can start working age jobs are typically in the food industry. Not all of them, but a fair amount. So the INFJ is slow and thorough. INFJs can be great detailed cleaners, but whereas our INFJ counterparts easily do these quickly on autopilot and in routines, INFJs take time to do it. So hosting a dinner party, the INFJ will take abundant time in the day or the week to plan for the said dinner party. INFJs can be great planners. ISFJs do the same routine daily that prepares them to keep the house clean and to prepare it for the dinner party. They are efficient and accomplish tasks in a timely manner. Now we are stereotyping ISFJs. I'm sure not every ISFJ is a housewife extraordinaire cleaning machine, right? But we're gonna kind of use this to highlight differences in the INFJ and ISFJ. So INFJs and ISFJs are both thorough, but in different ways. INFJs use introverted thinking to anticipate problems in situations. So we're gonna talk about INFJs and ISFJs in the food industry, like teaching a new coworker. So when the INFJ is first learning it for ourselves, it is very hard to learn it. However, after the INFJ has been in the food industry job a while, when someone new comes along, we are very good at teaching them because our introverted thinking is able to keep track of the problems or the pitfalls that arise in the task, or the details that people need to complete those simple tasks that are actually very complicated. Not super complicated, but it takes a second to learn them. So INFJ's TI can anticipate problems that their coworkers or subordinates are likely to experience. So INFJs, we probably made all of those rookie mistakes at that food industry jobs. So when we are teaching someone, we are very conscious of those things that could go wrong because we know those are not our skills. So we're likely going to be very good at training a new person in the food industry. Now this is for younger INFJs probably. ISFJs, on the other hand, can use TI to individually identify specific problems to their individual coworkers that they may be experiencing. So introverted sensing is specific sensory circumstances that occur. Introverted intuition is broad generalizations. So, how to develop short-term memory as an INFJ. So short-term memory in the INFJ, we have 4th, extroverted sensing, which is in the moment decisions. And then we have 8th, introverted sensing. So introverted sensing is about routines, traditions, and introverted sensing is about memory. I equate introverted sensing with, yes, nostalgia and also short-term memory. Introverted sensing is very good at keeping a record of things. So to train short-term memory in the INFJ, I'm gonna give my own example. My ESTP brother taught me how to drive, not by teaching me how to drive, but by being peaceful when we would go on drives. And by being peaceful to the INFJ while driving, I was able to naturally learn it. Does this sound any way linked to how to teach short-term memory to someone just by being around your dual in MBTI, being around your complete opposite? That doesn't really sound like it would work, but for me, it did. It was probably 4 to 6 months of driving with my ESTP brother. After those 4 to 6 months, I was a good driver. I was more confident in those food industry settings. I was just given the time to exercise that cognitive muscle. Maybe an ESTP could say, if they were sharing their universal truths and psychological theories with an INFJ for a while, they would be more confident in sharing those psychological truths. That could be something too. So that's just how it worked for me. And then also we get into not every like food industry job is like super like roses and rainbows. And you talk about the food industry job, you can have rude customers, you need a little bit of thick skin to do it, honestly. INFJs are not personality type known for having thick skin. I'm known for being sensitive crybabies, but we are sensitive, we are soft, I don't know. We are like sensitive, we just are, we're emotional, we're feelers. And the ESTP and other ESTPs in my life have taught me, if someone makes you feel bad, it's actually them who is bad. So think of addresses two things in the INFJ. First of all, the young INFJ often internalizes the messaging we receive. So like an INFJ dealing with someone making us feel bad, the INFJ may internalize it just when we're young and like less developed. So that's the ESTP addressing that part. Like when someone makes you feel bad, it is actually them who is bad. So the ESTP uses extroverted sensing and introverted thinking to perceive this negative treatment as in fact negative and not something that is true, right? Which is a huge deal for INFJs and ESTPs. That's something we can learn from ESTPs. In fact, I've seen it said that like ESTPs don't get into toxic relationships because they are good at this quality. Now, that's not entirely true. Rejecting negative messaging from the outside does not equal a toxic-free life. But in this case, for INFJs, this is very, very beneficial to us. And so the first part is rejecting harmful messaging. The second part is, what does the INFJ tend to be bad at? Food industry type work. We are a preparation-based intuitive personality. INFJs, we choose paths that allow us to prepare. Coming from the music world myself, like music, you practice the piece in order to then deliver a performance. It is a preparation heavy field. It's also an expression heavy field. This is the INFJ can use our natural strengths in that field. What the INFJ is bad at, or is things like the food industry jobs naturally. Not that the INFJ can't learn it, but yes. So if someone makes you feel bad, they are bad. So the INFJ, you kind of have to you have to understand like, okay, this is not my strength, but this messaging is actually bad. So maybe I should find a food industry job with not that messaging. And this also ties back into earlier, I talked about the INFJ. We did make those mistakes in the food industry job. So we are really good at preparing that rookie to not make those mistakes. Now, so this helps, the ESTP helps the INFJ because the INFJ has to develop applying common sense to unfamiliar situations or in the moment without preparation involving concrete variables. So applying common sense, that's food industry jobs. Remember, it's a bunch of simple tasks you should already know, but you don't really already know. And then in the food industry, it's like if you're working in it, there's so many variables. It could be like, okay, I finally learned this is the way they want us to refill the ranch. And then you do it right. And then when you finally learn how to do it, The manager tells you, oh, we're not handing out ranch anymore because we have used up so much of it. Now you have to hand out the other sauces, right? And so this applying common sense to an unfamiliar situation without preparation. And then also having the thick skin not to like cry when you do it wrong. It's so much. It's a lot for an INFJ to take in. ESTPs, they like this stuff. My little brother's an ESTJ, and he like mentioned not being like super great at the food industry jobs, but he was kind of able to power through, kind of able to fake it till he made it, right? So it is not totally an MBTI specific thing, but it is something like certain cognitive functions equip you to do the things. So yes, eventually the INFJ can master the food industry job with long-term memory. I've seen INFJ chat room posts where we actually, in the chat rooms, now I know this is probably like 2017, in the chat rooms, INFJs actually talking about like, yes, the food industry is hard for INFJs. And I've seen INFJs post that when they were in the job for a while, they actually mastered it maybe better than everybody else. And so the INFJ has a strong long-term memory, and we have the INFJ learning curve. We take in more and more information, we learn more and more pitfalls, and then we're able to generalize like and predict exceptions. The INFJ knows how to check themselves. Well, are we still serving ranch? Are we out of ranch? Do I need to offer the customer an alternate sauce because we are out of ranch? And can I anticipate that faster than like what is expected? Now the foresight is helping us because we realize we made a mistake in the past. And so this does help the INFJ because the INFJ ended up using extroverted sensing. Okay, now I blabbered about INFJs. Now let's talk about ISFJs. ISFJs can develop introverted intuition, long-term memory, or you could call it broad generalizations. I've seen ISFJs are able to develop this by being snarky, by complaining. So ISFJ's introverted sensing, extroverted feeling likes to, obviously the stereotype sensing being conformist, we're going to use that here. Let's give this scenario. The ISFJ is using extroverted feeling to create harmony, and the ISFJ is using introverted sensing to create an image. What's something they might say? So let's stereotype ISFJs as the housewife. The ISFJ says, I cook dinner for my friend every night. It's the highlight of my day. That's great. The INFJ, talking to the friends with the ISFJ for a few years now. 3 years into the friendship, the ISFJ says, yeah, I cook dinner for my friend every night, but they always like insult me and my dinner, right? So this is where the suppression of introverted intuition comes in, because introverted intuition looks at those broad generalizations. And those broad generalizations can be unwelcome topics. People want to hear that your relationship is going great. It's so socially encouraged. Oh yeah, I'm just so dedicated to my partner. I love cooking them dinner. That's great. That's like society-wise, that is great. What is not great is presenting this to the world and then that the ISFJ's partner not being grateful for the dinner the ISFJ is cooking. So introverted intuition might say something like, we might hear this as the INFJ and be like, okay, that partner is not appreciating your dinners. That partner probably doesn't have the emotional energy to make their own dinner, and so they are threatened by you, so they are putting you down. These are all broad generalization things, and they're abstract, and like the ISFJ probably has deduced that telling people that is not in what their introverted sensing wants, right? But ISFJs do have, in my experience with ISFJs, their tertiary introverted thinking can be open to criticalness and critiquing. Another halfway thing an ISFJ could say is, oh yeah, I cooked them dinner, but they said my dinner was horrible. In fact, they always say my dinners are horrible, right? So the ISFJ starts to piece it together. And then the introverted intuition is a broad abstract statement like, ISFJ, that person is threatened by you. Ooh, that person is threatened by you, that person is insecure, you are actually carrying the emotional weight of this, this dinner, okay. So this is very important. So ISFJs can develop introverted intuition type skills by being snarky. By reaching into, ISFJs have demonstrative introverted feeling. They are able to, we talk about INFJs being able to feel a range of emotions. ISFJs are as well. It's not as appealing to their dominant introverted sensing. They don't want to do this all the time. They don't walk around saying, people are threatened by me because I'm capable and productive and emotional, and like emotional in the term of emotionally intelligent. ISFJs don't walk around saying that. That's not what they want to do typically, but they are capable of being very psychological. Introverted sensing, like I always say, introverted thinking can analyze feelings. Introverted sensing has its own unique angles on psychology. So, yes. What is the solution? Should INFJs and ISFJs just fight each other? No, probably not. So the solution is to work together. ISFJs appreciate the planning and foresight of the INFJ. INFJ has vision. ISFJ can bring tangible points to the vision. ISFJ knows how to personalize someone's unique style and preferences. So I always think like an INFJ and an ISFJ could plan a birthday party really well together because the INFJ has the long-term plans. We have the long-term vision. INFJs are also kind of creative. ISFJs are too. Everybody can be creative. Come on. But ISFJs know how to personalize someone's unique style and preferences. Let's see. ISFJs know, I know this gets into critical territory, but like ISFJs understand like when introverted intuition is not always welcome, kind of like that, how the ISFJ doesn't walk around saying, oh, my partner is threatened by me because I'm so emotionally capable and I'm productive. The ISFJ doesn't say that, right? So they also know, like in the party planning aspect, it's like the ISFJ may be like, maybe let's not invite this person. Let's maybe make it this theme, because that person or that theme might upset some people, right? Right. So ISFJs understand those things. INFJs, we are good at planning like before the event, during the event, after the event. How are people getting home? Who's getting a ride? Oh my goodness. Like, yeah. INFJs how do I say this? When I think of how I plan tangible events, it's like the arrival, the event, the dismount. I like before when I plan an event, I'm like, what food do you like? What food do you not like? What does this person need? Like I kind of seek out all of those things. Like I'm like, tell me what you need. What are the factors you need? And what are the problems? What are you going to get mad at me for, basically? Or what do you need in that event? Like the INFJ can be thorough planning, and like the dismount. Who's getting a ride home? How are we getting a ride there? What time of the party works best for everybody? We might plan the party at 5. Everyone might say they're able to go, but then come the day of and nobody used introverted intuition foresight planning, and everybody actually gets off of work at 4:30, so they can't actually make it until 5:30, right? So all of those things, I think INFJs kind of do. ISFJ INFJ combo is great party planners and can be very motivating. We help orient each other and just give each other a leg up. We like to be prepared and we like for things to be done right. We are good at giving each other feedback. When I think of an MBTI group that gives me real advice and I receive it without feeling offended, I think of IJs. I remember now, like my channel is called INFJ. I'm gay. I remember in high school, I was in the closet and I was like, and I said to my INTJ friend, I was like, I think that other guy is gay. And I said, he hangs out with all girls. And I kind of said it in like not the best way. I was probably like 17 or 16. My INTJ friend turns to me and says, well, Trevor, someone could say the same thing about you. I remember she said this and I did not feel offended. matter of fact, I felt kind of seen. The truth doesn't need to hurt. Sometimes this idea that the truth hurts, I don't know. Sometimes people like to make the truth hurt. Sometimes people are comfortable making the truth hurt. IJs show us that you can learn, you can give feedback, you can plan, you can prepare, you can be productive and enjoy it and have enthusiasm for life. So I hope this video made sense to someone somewhere. I love ISFJs if you couldn't tell. Okay,